From the All Indiana Podcast Network.
The All Indiana Podcast Network.
This is the News 8 Daily 8.
Now all the latest news.
Kylie Conway has all the news you need to know.
And more.
Please stand by.
Now, here's Wish TV's Kylie Conway.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is the News 8 Daily 8 for Thursday, August 12th. Dry start with some isolated storms this afternoon. There is a chance for some isolated strong to severe storms. Main threats are damaging winds and large hail. An isolated tornado can't be completely ruled out north of Kokomo. It's going to be a hot day as well for everybody. Highs back in the low 90s with heat index values likely above 100. And this morning, 3 people, an IMPD officer, a child, and a woman, are all in the hospital after yet another shooting in Indianapolis. The scene played out at Bayview Club Apartments near 75th and Shadeland about 9 o'clock last night. IMPD says several children were inside.
We saw tonight what can happen when people make bad decisions and, have no other way to deal with their conflict except through violence. It's unacceptable. We also have to think and wrap our arms around the children that were able to escape. They're traumatized. They're going to be traumatized for some time, and we as a community owe it to them to provide them everything they can to grow up happy and healthy after what they've experienced tonight.
The shooting adds another painful jolt to the surge in violence in the city. Shortly before the officer was shot, other shootings left 3 more people wounded. Police say the officer was shot in the leg and is stable in the hospital. We don't know his name, but we do know he's at St. Vincent Hospital on 86th Street. This all started with a domestic violence 911 call centered around just one apartment. They say 2 officers got to the scene, knocked on the door, no answer. One of the officers then started walking the perimeter and encountered the suspect. We don't know what happened between the 2 of them, but that's the point that IMPD says the suspect shot the officer in the leg. That officer did not fire back. In fact, IMPD says no officers opened fire. The officer took cover, his partner reached him, and then moved fast.
His partner, thankfully, is equipped, like all of our officers are equipped with tourniquets, applied that tourniquet to the officer's injuries.
After that, police launched a full SWAT situation to carefully reapproach that apartment. They found 3 people inside. The suspect, dead from what appears to be a self-inflicted gunshot wound, a girl who'd been shot, now in critical condition at Methodist, and a woman with a gunshot wound at St. Vincent Hospital. Police also say 3 more children were in the apartment, but escaped at some point during all of this. They're now in IMPD's custody. And we are hearing from the mayor of Indianapolis. Joe Hogsett sent us a statement overnight. He sends his thoughts to the officer who was shot and their family, along with all IMPD officers who keep the community safe. Hogsett also wrote these words on crime rates in general. We must do everything we can to stop the scourge of gun violence, deploying resources and uniting neighbors to halt this vicious cycle. And lately, that so-called vicious cycle has often caught children in the crossfire. This is the 4th child hurt in a shooting in Indianapolis in less than 2 weeks. At last check, police say the girl was brought to IU Methodist in critical condition. We don't know her exact age, but the 3 other kids home during the shooting are thankfully physically okay and are now with police. But even 1 child hurt is too many and happening too often. On Sunday, a little boy in an SUV was grazed by a bullet on the city's near northwest side at 26th and Harding Street at 5 in the evening. Police do not think he was the intended target. And just a week before that, on July 31st, 5 people were shot, including a 4-year-old and a 16-year-old outside a funeral home on West 30th Street. Police say far too many kids are getting hurt in the city shootings and that our community needs to take care of our kids. And at this point, the relationship between the children and the other people in the apartment involved in this most recent shooting is not clear. And the officer shooting happened soon after at least 2 other shootings in the city, one on the northwest side outside a Walmart market on Michigan Road near Kessler. There, police found a man critically wounded in a vehicle in the parking lot. No word yet who shot him or why. Police believe 2 shooting victims found on Washington Street are connected. IMPD says 1 wounded person turned up near Euclid Avenue, and a few minutes later, another was found near Rural. Police tell us one of them is stable, the other is critically wounded. Violence is the issue driving our City in Crisis town hall meeting tonight. It will address many of these issues. We're gathering the city's top leaders and community groups to here at Wish to dig into the problem, addressing the rise in crime, its impact on mental health, and the search for solutions. So that's tonight at 6 o'clock. You can join us live on Wish TV and also stream it live on wishtv.com. And it is back to the classroom for kids in Carmel. For the first time, families are navigating new start times and changes to bus routes because of a driver shortage. The Carmel Clay School Board voted last night to approve the changes to bus routes and schedule. As we've reported, school start times are being moved, and there is now a 1 mile no bus zone around each school in Carmel Clay. You can find those exact start times at wishtv.com. New reports say the FDA could authorize booster shots of the COVID-19 vaccine for some people before the end of the week. They would first go to people with weakened immune systems. Wish TV's medical expert and former Surgeon General Dr. Jerome Adams explains the reason for the move.
They're following the science here. There was a study that came out in the New England Journal of Medicine which showed that people who are immunocompromised get substantial increases in protection from a third dose. But for regular people out there, you still get good protection if you have gotten 2 doses of an mRNA vaccine.
The CDC estimates 9 million people in America are immunocompromised.
I think we shouldn't take tools away from public health officials. I'm really worried about the ban on public health officials and school officials being able to act based on their own data.
Right.
If you're in an area of high spread, here's what parents need to know. If your kids are over the age of 12, please talk to your doctor, get them vaccinated while they're eligible. And if you're in a place where you've got high spread, I hope that you will consider getting your kid a mask.
Yeah.
And Dr. Adams also says that we need to look at the data and allow schools to make their own rules. The topic has led to angry exchanges at school board meetings regarding masks in several Indiana communities and across the country. News 8 Sierra Hignite went to the State School Boards Association about the troubling trend.
Just in the last few weeks, a Zionsville school board meeting was interrupted countless times by parents loudly interjecting during public comment and yelling while the school board was preparing to vote on a mask requirement for students. Since then, there have been cases across the state and across the country of similar outbursts. A meeting just this week in New Albany got heated again over a mask requirement vote within the school district.
We just can't allow for disruptive meetings where individuals are not recognized to speaking up and disrupting the meeting.
Mask wearing has become a polarizing topic across the U.S., and when it comes to students' health, school officials are not surprised that some parents feel passionately about the topic one way or the other and want to express that.
We need to listen to their concerns. We need to listen to both sides of these issues to understand overall sentiment.
Executive Director of the Indiana School Board Association, Terry Spradlin, says school boards want to hear from parents, but there's a certain expectation when it comes to the way those opinions are presented.
So we applaud parents who are passionate. We need to respect each other's differences in philosophy, and that's where we got to have this common ground on protocols and rules and decorum.
It's when those expectations are not met that issues arise.
When individuals become disruptive or hostile with verbal language or body gestures that are threatening, the board has no choice but to recess the meeting.
I'm Sierra Hignite for Wish TV, wishtv.com, and follow us on Facebook.
And the CDC is doubling down on its recommendation for all women who are pregnant, nursing, or considering pregnancy to roll up their sleeves. Previously, the agency had only asked them to consider it. The newest data shows no increased risk of miscarriage for women who got the Pfizer or Moderna dose before 20 weeks of pregnancy. The CDC says there are safety concerns for pregnant women who don't get vaccinated. They're at increased risk of severe illness from the virus and adverse pregnancy outcomes such as preterm birth. The bands Maroon 5 and Dead & Company will require fans headed to Ruoff Music Center to show off proof of vaccination. According to the venue, you can either show your original vaccination card or a printed copy of it. If you're not vaccinated, you need a negative COVID-19 test result within 72 hours of the concerts. Maroon 5 is coming to Noblesville on August 21st. Dead & Company is scheduled to perform September 15th. And the Colts are expected to announce COVID-19 protocols for games at Lucas Oil Stadium. The team's hosting reporters to explain details. A spokesperson for the Marion County Public Health Department told us yesterday that discussions continue. The first preseason game is this Sunday at home. The Colts kick off the regular season on September 12th against the Seattle Seahawks. And Colts Watch begins with another injury. Top draft pick Kwity Paye left practice yesterday following a right ankle injury. We don't know how bad it is, but the defensive end was able to walk off the field on his own. Carson Wentz and Quentin Nelson were spotted back at practice again. In an interview with the NFL Network yesterday, head coach Frank Reich shared that both are doing exceedingly well. There's no timetable for their return yet, though. And speaking of returns, yesterday the news broke that Reich and general manager Chris Ballard are staying for the long haul with the Colts. The duo signed contract extensions, keeping them with the Horseshoe through the 2026 season. Reich says he's grateful to have the confidence of the organization.
Incredibly excited to work with this team, the players on this team, the leadership on this team. And then for me as the head coach, maybe the most exciting thing is the relationship with Chris Ballard. You know, he and I working together along with Mr. Irsay, really to try to continue to take this team down the road that we want to go.
Jim Irsay responded to the announcement saying in part, "I truly believe this football team is on the doorstep of great things, and that's because of the culture both have cultivated in their time with the Horseshoe." Prosecutors plan to file formal murder charges in a case that started 4 years ago. Police in Greenwood arrested Ricky Eaton in May for a different reason. Court and jail records show he's charged with criminal trespass and resisting law enforcement. In that case, a Greenwood investigator told detectives in Indianapolis that a witness claimed Eaton killed Jenny Boltinghouse. People fishing on the White River discovered her body in February of 2017. Boltinghouse had been shot 4 times. IMPD says Eaton has denied knowing anything about the woman's murder. The suspect claims he had not seen Boltinghouse for a couple of weeks before her death. The U.S. Census Bureau is set to release redistricting data for the entire United States. The information comes from the 2020 census. State lawmakers used census findings to update and redraw boundaries for Indiana's 9 congressional districts, 100 state House and 50 state Senate seats. Today's census information will show how Indiana's makeup has changed over the last 10 years. It breaks down the population by race, ethnicity, housing status, and the number of people old enough to vote. And the state of Indiana is addressing inequalities by launching a public disparity portal. According to Governor Holcomb, the portal includes data on current equity gaps in health, social services, education, public safety, and the workforce. According to the governor's office, the portal would highlight areas where the state should address inequality and provide a way to monitor the state's progress. Wheeler Mission is opening its new Center for Women and Children. It's on Michigan Street on the east side. A dozen people helped cut the ribbon Wednesday to open it. Wheeler Mission says it's a $14.8 million project that can serve hundreds of women and children each day through housing or through other help.
There's no better reminder to them how important they are to all of us by giving them a place that they can feel safe, that they can get support, and they can be in a program that can change their lives to get whatever circumstances brought them here back on track.
Work on the center started nearly 2 years ago. And New York's next governor is trying to distance herself from the outgoing administration. Lieutenant Governor Kathy Hochul will replace Andrew Cuomo, who's resigning over multiple sexual harassment allegations. In her first public remarks, Hochul says she and Cuomo have not been close and that she was not previously aware of the accusations against him, now outlined in an attorney general's report. This morning, Hochul is promising a different kind of leadership.
No one will ever describe my administration as a toxic work environment. No one who is named as doing anything unethical in the report will remain in my administration.
Hochul is already signaling she will run for a full term next year. And after moving through the Dominican Republic, Tropical Depression Fred is moving through Haiti. According to the National Hurricane Center, the southeastern Bahamas and parts of Cuba are preparing for the storm's arrival later tonight. The bipartisan infrastructure package could give federal wildland firefighters pay raises. The plan would provide $600 million to increase their base salaries. That would bump their yearly pay $20,000 or 50%, whichever is less. The package still needs to move through the House. In California, crews are still working to put out the Dixie Fire. Most of the town of Greenville is destroyed, but not everything. We've seen that there is the town's elementary and senior high school still standing and a supermarket across the street, but things are still in a dire place.
Obviously, we can see it's still very smoky. It's still a very dynamic situation here.
According to the Forest Service, the Dixie Fire has burned more than 500,000 acres. It's 30% contained and is now the largest fire in California's history. Executive producer Mike Richards will host Jeopardy going forward. Sony's announcement comes after weeks of guest hosts filling in for the late Alex Trebek. Actress Mayim Bialik is splitting hosting duties. The Blossom and Big Bang Theory star will MC Jeopardy! Prime Time and the National College Championship spinoff. She is also a neuroscientist, very smart, very well-educated, and clearly comfortable in front of the camera, so it seems like a perfect fit. Now, the longest-winning streak champion, Ken Jennings, is returning as a consulting producer. And to business headlines, power grids are bracing for yet another weather crisis. 170 million people are under heat advisories this week. Operators are already taking steps to make sure the lights stay on by asking that maintenance be delayed so that all facilities are running to meet demand for air conditioning. A survey by Intelligent.com shows almost half of Americans who took out student loans 20 or more years ago still carry the debt with them. In 2020, student loan debt ballooned to its highest level ever after forced lockdowns drove a major recession. Overall, Americans owe an astounding $1.7 trillion. Americans have lost a record-breaking $4.2 billion to online scams in 2020. A growing number of those being targeted are members of Generation Z, ages 20 and younger. Scammers are abusing social media platforms to reach younger users who are typically more trusting when it comes to sharing personal data online and clicking unknown links. Amazon says it's invested $15 billion in Indiana since 2010. That includes infrastructure and compensation to employees. The e-commerce company has put $15 billion in Indiana over that time, and 29,000 full and part-time jobs have been created in the Hoosier State. Wendy's will open 700 ghost kitchens across the U.S., UK, and Canada by 2025. Ghost kitchens fulfill delivery orders placed through third-party delivery apps and help restaurants cut down on costs. They help restaurants use less labor and square footage and being in less desirable locations like parking lots. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
Check out more podcasts from the All Indiana Podcast Network now at allindianapodcastnetwork.com.
allindianapodcastnetwork.com.